Call this board meeting to order. Ask Mr. Davis to lead us in our prayer and pledge.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings that you bestowed upon us throughout the month and the week and the year, Lord. We thank you again, Father, as we endeavor to conduct the business of the Wayne County Board of Education. We pray for your guidance and your wisdom, and the decisions that we make tonight will be pleasing unto you. We ask for forgiveness of our sins, and we ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Moved and second. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to approve the minutes from July 17th meeting.
I so move. Second.
Moved and second. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Items of business.
Yes, sir. I've asked Dr. Schuman just to kind of share some enrollment numbers with you and just kind of give you an update where we are. We're getting to a point now where the numbers are getting a little more solid for folks coming in, folks going out, that sort of thing. We're still not at the 10-day period, so the high school especially, you'll see that number is probably a little high because some students have not shown up yet, but we leave them on the roll until after that 10 days. So you'll see that number go down some more here, and I think we're going to say 8 or 9. So, Dr. Schuman?
Good afternoon, everyone. I have some more handouts if anybody would like one of the handouts. I started out when I pulled student enrollment. This is my first time really studying enrollment. So I looked at August 10th, 2018, and that's the bottom of the screen there. I give everybody a handout up front. You can see that enrollment is 5,407 students for the Wayne County school system. One of the other observations that I made is that Martha Puckett and Arthur Williams, the attendance has pretty much balanced out there. For Arthur Williams, it's 615 students. For Martha Puckett, it's 628 students. And that wasn't enough for me because this is my first time studying student enrollment. So then I pulled the same time last year, August 10, 2017, to do a little bit of a comparison. And I wrote some notes down. As you can see, district attendance is up. At the top, it says 5,369 students. And as of August the 10th, 2018, it was 5,407 students there. So you can see, like I said, up just a little bit for enrollment. Other observations that I made from 17 to 18 is that James C. Bacon's enrollment is a little bit down. It decreased. Last year, 2017, it was 747. we're down to 682 now, so that's a difference of about 50 students there, Jamie. Oldham, Scriven, and Wayne County High School, y'all are holding pretty steady with 237 for Scriven from last year and 236 right now, so it went down by 1 student. If you'll look at Oldham was 412 last year, they're at 418 now, up by about 6. And then the bottom line is Wayne County High School, they're down by about 10 students. They're from 1499 to 1498. So those are the ones that are holding steady. Martha Puckett is up this year by 100 students from last year. They were at 549. If you'll look down at the bottom, Martha Puckett is up to 628. So that's up by about 100 students. So let's see what else I have here as far as observations. MRS increased a tad, whereas Dr. Simon is in the back there. MRS last year was 548, and now they're at 575. So increased just a little bit when it comes to student enrollment. So those are some of the observations that I made by studying this. Again, this is my first time studying student enrollment. Any questions about student enrollment that I can answer?
Again, that's a trend we see. I guess the two biggest things is there's a little bit of downward trend at Bacon. Nothing to be alarmed about. Just the staff numbers there. Just Bacon just kind of stayed the same throughout the years. You look. She has it broken down in the different grades. So that's how when I say trends, that's what I go by. Is that look at those numbers. Mark Ross Smith has a upward trend as far as enrollment, which is a good thing. We want to get those schools as even as we can as far as numbers. I will mention, I think, we took a hard line with variances. Actually, I know it's been 3 years ago. This might be the 4th year of really not having any variances other than to Scriven, Martha Puckett, and Martha Rawls. And really, I think we need to stop the variances for Martha Puckett. This time for the open, that's just open variance, except for employee children. But anyway, that's paid off and even out in the middle schools. And I think the trend is that the elementary schools in Jessup are getting more equal than they have been. Any questions? Again, Wayne County High School, you'll see that'll probably drop down more toward 14, 20 or so after the 10-day mark. There'll be some no-shows, people that we just have not gotten the request for records. We leave them on the roll. They're probably already in school somewhere else, out of state. We just don't know, we leave them on the road, and eventually we drop them. And so those numbers will reflect that here in a few more days. All right, next item was the winter conference. I just wanted to mention, ask you to sign it's time for our annual training report as far as your required credit hours. Everybody's met there, Mr. Daniel. Got a lot of the extra, and you recall also going forward for this next school year. That is one of the requirements if we're going to try to achieve that next level of the SBA recognition to become, I believe it's distinguished. We've been a quality board for 3 years, but we're going to try to move up to that next rank. There are some extra hours required from board members. This was the year, I mean, we would be fine, as 18. For the 17-18 fiscal year. One other thing, I'll just go ahead and mention the December. We usually go to Atlanta for the December Winter GSBA conference. On that Thursday, we have it's a training day. And that's generally when we pick up that 6 hours. And that's really all the training that you need, other than that whole board governance training that we'll have that gives us our additional 3. We certainly want to wait on Mr. McPitkin and Mr. Harris come on board in January. Before we do that, we'll schedule that sometime in the spring. But we will have to choose an area. So as far as what we want the training on, put that in our plan that has to be submitted in October. So I'll send you some options as far as subject areas and what area you'd like to be trained in or get some more information on. I'll send that out. And again, these are things we have to submit in October. This report and our plan for the next fiscal year. And we'll send you more information. I don't think the conference opened up yet, so it hadn't opened up. We jumped ahead and got motel rooms at the host, hotel this year, but it hadn't opened up yet, so we're gonna try to keep that straight. But anyway, I'll need to confirm who's gonna be able to, who's going up when and how long you're staying and that sort of thing, to avoid any unnecessary rooms. But Mr. Harris, Mr. McPipkin will be taking part of that new board, training, new board member training on that Wednesday and Thursday. They have an extra day, so they'll get their 12 hours all day Wednesday and all day Thursday. But Thursdays, you remember you pick your session of what you would like to attend, and they'll have those, probably those same sessions, so we'll need to get that as well. Any questions, comments on that? And we'll send you those dates. I've done that yet, it's that December 5th, 6th, and 7th. I have,
Yeah.
we'll send you those
They
details when we start.
changed it, 'cause last time it was the first week.
Well,
Yeah. I don't make no plans.
I
This
understand,
time,
yeah, you're busy.
last time.
and just know if something happens, something comes up and you don't make that, that's not, there's other options to get your training throughout the year.
Right.
Any questions, comments on that? Again, I'll get you signed that, get you signed these other documents later on. All right. All right, I was asked to put sidewalks and crosswalks on the agenda for discussion.
Well, I had the pleasure of actually meeting, not really meeting, but running into the mayor at Martha Ross Smith the day, I guess that was the Wednesday after the city council had their meeting. And he was discussing with me about sidewalks and said that they do have money allocated for those sidewalks, and that, we just needed to make sure that we let him know that. He told me he was gonna meet with you. I don't know if that meeting has occurred yet or not.
I've spoken with him, and so I've drafted a letter. I don't know how that, whatever, miscommunication for us. We don't want them. I didn't.
Right.
Any kind of.
So
do their own,
that's
whatever
the-
they want to do.
Right.
But I've drafted a letter. I'm going to ask you to, if that's what the board wants to do, sign a letter. I'm going to send it to all members of the city council, the mayor, the city manager, and let them know that we're all for sidewalks.
Well, there's nothing like a paper trail.
I understand.
You got a paper trail, they can't say you said one thing and you actually said another. So that's the reason why I requested the letter be sent to them, so that, they can be notified that this is the wishes of the board. In fact, they made a comment to me and stated that, when the school was being built, that there was money allocated for a sidewalk prior to the, construction of the facility. So this is something that needs to be done. He asked me, well, how many kids do we have walking to Martha Ross Smith? I said, if I got one, that one needs to be protected. Because we should have, or we could have, it's not gonna do anything, that kid gets run over. The other thing he pointed out, which I didn't even realize and recognize, is that we don't have any school zone signs. There are no school zone signs to indicate along Cowboy, or on 4th Street, that there's a school coming up, and so people are generally driving at the rate and speed that they normally drive. They can't even, they said they can't even give a ticket because there are no school zone signs. So, they were talking about rectifying that. So hopefully, that will get taken care of pretty soon. I asked him whether or not they had any temporary signs that might be able to be posted, until they can get the flash, because he mentioned that we need the flashing lights and, those things as well. The chief of police, Mike Lane, was there as well. And where they were talking about putting the sidewalk was on the same side as the Martha Ross Smith school was located on. And those kids, the sidewalk on 4th Street stops at Boston Street. And he was saying that Boston Street put a crosswalk there, and those kids will cross at that point and then continue on to Martha Ross Smith. But what would need to happen at that point, once they got to Martha Ross Smith, there would need to be a staff member on duty to guide those kids on down the sidewalk towards the bus ramp, so that they would be out of harm's way of cars. So that's one of the things with that. Also, I know you and I talked about maybe the state or the city actually putting crosswalks, because they're the owners of the right of way. And so we also in the process of talking to Carol Irving of Safe Kids, who she's given me the contact information, which I'll pass it on to you, for Safe Routes to School, because they have some money for that, possibly as well, to assist with the crosswalks and those type of things. Like I said before, at the crosswalks, if we can't have anybody there, because I know the staff members can't stay there the entire time. One of the things that I think would be valuable would be if anybody's ever been to Tybee Island and seen at the crosswalks, they have the little button they push and the lights flash that alerts the drivers that they need to stop and allow those people to cross. That needs to happen. Okay, I really think that would be beneficial for our kids who are crossing, especially right over here at James E. Bacon, who are crossing that street. And I was coming back from Atlanta about 3 weeks ago, and I was on, might have been Georgia 38 or something, and I took a bike way, traffic time, and on that highway, they built a school out in the middle of nowhere. But there was a subdivision right across the street from there. And they had that on that highway, so that those kids coming from that subdivision, they would be able to cross that street without, because what if a kid misses either miss a bus or kid wakes up late and it's 8:30 and that kid's coming to school? There's not gonna be anybody out there to help that child across the street. So, you have those extenuating circumstances that may happen, and we need to keep our kids safe.
I have drafted that letter, so we'll get the city tonight and something we will.
Sounds like a plan. Can I have a copy of that? Once we sign it?
Sure.
Yeah, it's fine.
I haven't had an opportunity to meet with the mayor and talk with him. The city engineer and a couple other people went out today to do some observations of the area where we were talking about, coming from Lawson Street down to the entrance of the bus entrance. And one of the things that the city engineer was talking about was from that point is where the city sidewalk would stop, that the school system would have to put a sidewalk from that point to the bus
To the
entrance.
bus loop, to the entrance, right.
And so they were looking at that and saying what we would have to be committed to doing along with their work too, so that it can all be done at the same time. So we're gonna be having to look at an expense there as well. On top of their expense, we're gonna have an expense. So they're gonna continue to work on it, do some evaluations and different things like that. But I did talk to him and he did tell me about the meeting that y'all had at the school that day.
Talk to you about the traffic situation, about
Yes.
the, putting in the turning lane.
Turning lanes and also the stop signs as well. They have a work session scheduled for next week, so they're gonna be talking, finalizing some things on that. But what they are going to do, before they get to the sidewalk, is they are going to do for getting school signs put up and also trying to get that turning lane to help with the traffic flow, for the people who are entering in the morning and, entering in the afternoon, and possibly changing that intersection to a four-way stop sign. So he's gonna get with the chief and they're gonna go back out there and pretty much go ahead and get that four-way stop sign up and working, and the turn lane, and then work towards the process of putting the sidewalk and wheel on the process.
And one of the other things he mentioned as well, one of the problems with the drainage in front of Martha Ross Smith is you've got a small ditch there, but there's no outlet for that ditch. So what happens is the water goes there, it piles up. It hadn't rained in maybe 3 days or 4 days, and the water was just still sitting there because there was nowhere for it to go. So he was saying that they were gonna have to come in also and put a ditch there with culverts so that the water would drain and go to the other side, which means that what would happen is that area where we turn in would have to be dug up so that water would drain off somewhere. And that's the reason why you're having that issue with all the water sitting in front of Martha Ross Smith.
And that's not a problem. We got a little problem with that exit area or entrance area, whichever way you wanna look at it. In the design, we really didn't make that, it wasn't designed wide enough. You see where it's already
Right.
there now, and we got some temporary
And
stuff, so we just need to fix all that.
Why are there no, what do you call it, the curbing, yes. Why there's no curbing there? There's curbing at all the other schools, why there's no curbing? Yeah, but they was throwing
In the
down
design,
that,
I guess,
what's that road stuff they use to crumble up? forgot what they call it, it's that crushing.
Russian.
Yeah, crush and run is what they call it. Yeah, that's what they got on the curb right there, but we, you know, there's no curbing. Yeah, there's no curbing going in there. Yeah.
So it's not wide for them.
Yeah, but that area out front, it really doesn't look good to me. And, for a new school like that, I think we need to, it deserves more justice. So I think that needs to be, kind of cleaned up, straightened
We'll wait on the city to do what they're gonna do, and we'll certainly join in, and I'll bring to you whatever expenses we're gonna incur, and we'll go from there. All right, wanted to discuss the tax digest to see, you know, we had a consensus to, you know, keep our millage at 18 mills, and I just wanted to point out, you know, we talked about the little, not a little bit, I mean, does leave us a shortfall, but we feel like that's not something we feel like that's something we can overcome in our budget without raising millage. We just feel like we need to be, cognizant of what we're asking our taxpayers to do coming up in November. We continue that 1 penny that does so much for the school system. Raising millage, that's kind of, that's not practicing what you're preaching, so, you know, we're still good there. I just want to bring up any discussion, questions on that. You can see the, you know, the direction the digest is going, and it's not going in a good one. It's on a pretty steady decline, which is disturbing, so, you know, and I'll let Mr. Williams chime in with anything, but I will mention to you also, you know, in our budget, we did not include any flipper funds that may show up. I think we're over the hump with that, but until we have a few more years of it arriving on time and being some kind of predictable amount, it's still not included, so that alone, what's projected would overcome that little shortfall. Any questions, discussion on that further? I know we were just we're rushing things a little bit, trying to make sure we're doing our part, but the county's not waiting on us. They can get set, all the villages can get set, and they have to wait on us. We certainly want those bills to go out on time, where those taxes can be collected, and we can get our part during our crucial cash flow time, which is that last 2 or 3 months of the calendar.
The estimate of the flip based on this digest was around $900,000. So we try to exclude that in budgeting because it has been so unpredictable. So when you exclude the flip up, then we're about $221,000 short of the budget. So if we get the flip up in a timely manner, then
Even though it did show up last year, I want to say it was getting close to the very end of the fiscal year, so if it doesn't come in our fiscal year, it really doesn't help us with our budget, so, for that year.
And, I just want to say that, we need everybody involved in education, you need to push the eSPLOST, because that is the fairest way to get the funds that we need to do what we need to do. Because, you know, most of you all in here are just like myself, you're homeowners, you're landowners. And so if you raise the millage rate, then we're the only ones it falls upon. But if you have the eSPLOST, then everybody gets an opportunity to help, you know, with the necessary things that we are looking at trying to do, such as, and I don't call it a renovation, I call it a remodernization of James E. Baker. So we've got to really push that. You know, we're up against something. We're up against a beast. But I feel like if you explain it to everybody and they get an understanding of exactly what's going on, I feel like we've done pretty much what we needed to do with our funds and have kept the promises to the public what we're gonna do with our funds. They'll understand that, you know, hey, look, this is something we need and we're doing it for our kids, and it'll go through.
And another thing, we're gonna have buses, we're gonna have to make these expenses in the future.
Right.
And the more this ought to rally the landowners and all that to get out and vote for it. Because those are the people that's gonna have to pay for these new buses
That's right.
and all this equipment that is going down that we're capable of paying with those funds. So, very
And that
important
keeps us
time.
from raising the millage rate.
It's a very important time.
The only other thing, we do need to have a call meeting. I sent you some correspondence about having a call meeting next Tuesday, the 21st. I suggested 5 o'clock, but we really need to get that in just to approve the final millage. Let's put that in stone, that'd be a good thing, but we need to make it official meeting.
So, need a motion?
Yeah.
Also move.
Second.
Moved and second.
Darrell?
Yes, ma'am.
Jackson?
Yes, ma'am.
Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Shay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and I did want to open up just the East Boston discussion. That is the last agenda item. Just, we're kind of organizing. We still have 3 months to the actual election, and so we're organizing now. The chamber's going to be real supportive. Jody Ammons is a big proponent of public education, and me and her's had some discussions. So she's going to help us. She's always been part of that Kids First committee that's kind of led our charge. We're limited a little bit what we can do as a school system as far as promoting it. They've done a great job of that. So we're organized, we'll get that group back together. And we'll get some information, flyers, some information for you guys to share. So calling on you to speak to some of the groups who go with me as I speak, present the information. We just want to make sure everybody is informed and understands what we're doing. It's really not complicated. It doesn't take long to spend that 16 or 17 million when you're looking at investing $11 million over here at James E. Bacon to get that school up with the other 4. So, any question, any information that you need, anything you're hearing out there, we need to
Yeah,
bad information.
What's been said already, and this just happened at the football game Friday, people are already mad, and they're already talking against the East Boston as if the East Boston is raising taxes. East Boston is not raising taxes, it's
Not
just
at all.
continuing the penny. But the perception of people is that because of the county's mishap and mismanagement of funds, and they're not able to sustain their budget, that they're going to take it out on the school. And that's what I'm not happy with.
Well, that's unfortunate. People are going to take things out on kids. We're here working for the kids, but we just got to educate our folks in our community. Now, I feel confident they're going to support our kids. They have, and always have. And we want to make sure they have good information. Like I said, it's not a new tax. It's just continue that penny. Like was just mentioned ago, I forget what the percentage is that it's paid by outside folks, but we'll get that number. I won't say it's like a third. A third of it paid by other people. I think that's a win. And like I said, that enables us to maintain millage, and I'm very confident in it, and we can eventually lower millage. Once we kind of get things in order, I think this next East Boston will really get us over the hump and let us finish up our plan of getting our elementary schools in new buildings, our kids in new buildings, and take care of some of our infrastructure. We start considering maybe lowering that thing down some more. Now I think the sweet spot for us is 17 or 16 and a half. It's about as low as we can go. We do fight that 65 and over impact that we have, and we'll discuss that maybe a little bit more later. We're working on some information there, but.
When are we looking at a date to start our campaign on this?
I think when we come back from Labor Day, that's what they recommend. You don't want to start too early, but I mean that gives us 2 solid months to get the word out. Which is a couple more, just a couple more weeks to organize and get some things lined up, and then we'll go for Florida. That's all I have.
Wayne County Board of Education will enter into executive session to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent. Motion for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second.
Terrell?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Stover?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to return to regular session.
So move.
Second.
Moving to second.
Terrell?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Stover?
Yes, ma'am.
Personnel recommendations for August 14th, 2018, and also August 9th, 2018, effective resignation from board member Janet Royal. Certified recommendations, Brandon Mosley, Martha Puckett, Lasonia Thomas, Martha Smith. Certified transfers, Craig Davis, Arthur Williams to Wayne County High School, assistant principal. Certified resignations, Bo Adams, Wayne County High School, Sue Adams, Scriven Elementary, Linda Franklin, Martha Ross Smith, Marilyn Hampton, Martha Puckett, Earl Watson, retirement. Classified recommendations, Karen Cromartie, Scriven Elementary, Stephanie Gibbs, Martha Ross Smith, Megan Gillian, Wayne County High School, Donna Groover, Jessup Elementary, Sheila Sando, transportation. Classified transfers, Kayla Jones, James and Bacon to Jessup Elementary. Classified resignations, Haley Dennison, Arthur Williams Middle School, Deborah Evers, Jessup Elementary, Megan Gideon, Wayne County High School, Kimberly Hempfield, transportation, Harry Lacy, transportation, Susan Manning, Martha Ross Smith Elementary, Christy Woodcock, Jessup Elementary. Classified terminations, Christopher Little, transportation, Eugene Wimberly, transportation. Motion to approve the resignation of Ms. Janet Royal and the superintendent's recommendations for personnel.
So move.
Second.
Moving second.
Terrell?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Stover?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sutton?
Yes, I just would like to, my comment would be, just thanking Ms. Royal for her many years of service on the board, and the distinguished service that she did on the board, and the way that she served on the board. I just thank her for that, and, very good.
Well, I hope everyone has had a good start to the school year, and thank you all for coming out in the rain. Appreciate that.
I'd just like to echo what Mitch said, that Janet's been a loyal and devoted servant to the Wayne County Board of Education. I want to thank her for all her hard work that she put in on behalf of our children.
Same sense, thanking Ms. Roy for her service to Wayne County, long time, over 40 years of service to Wayne County school system. We're gonna miss her as she moves forward in life. Welcome back, everybody, and I know everybody's coming, but I'm excited. Seems to be things are running good, and haven't heard anything negative. Even with all of the changes that me and Coach Daniels heard on the welcome back day, is all we heard was everybody got upset, time just changed it. But they've been good changes, and people are adjusting to it. The school kids are, they were very supportive of the changes, and they're cooperating with no cell phones. I like that.
They're actually talking to each
And they're
other,
actually
but
talking.
not texting each other.
It's been a positive move.
I just want to share with everyone, really, with the, with y'all's board's action on accepting Ms. Royal's resignation. We got information actually yesterday from our legal folks that with that vacancy, the board is asked to appoint someone for the remaining term, until January 1st. And so the process works like this. There's some information that we have to gather, this documentation of resignation being accepted, so we'll see the minutes with your vote, and some other documents that that we have to send to the Secretary of State's office. Once we do that, we have to wait to hear back from them. once we hear back from the Secretary of State's office, then the board is to, at that time, decide who they're appointing, take action, vote, and then, put somebody in there into the, December 31st. That's where we are, and I will keep you posted, once we get to go ahead. Appreciate everybody's support off to a good start. I try to be good to our folks, and they work extremely hard on long hours, so I'm told the next slide on that once we move to executive session, but I appreciate these folks for hanging around. That's it.
I just want to say my job.
Yeah, that too.
All right, we'll adjourn back, Commissioner.